Hi, everybody, and welcome back at Azure Lowlands 2023. Welcome, everybody on the live stream, and welcome to everybody here in the studio. My name is Isidora, and I'm happy to be your hostess of our next panel, but of course, I'm not doing it alone. We have two amazing guests, but first, my co-hostess, Raita.
Thank you, Easy. I'm Raita van Rijswijk. I'm co-hosting with Easy. And we have a great panel here for you. We're going to talk about the low-code revolution. But first, I would like to introduce to you our guests, Louisa and Rick. Daniel.
Almost,
sorry,
almost.
Sorry.
Very close, right?
Almost there. Daniel, would you kick off introducing and telling us a bit about yourself and a fun fact, something that we don't know or expect from you?
Okay, so my name is Daniel Laskowitz, and I am actually doing a home game today because I live in Utrecht. And that's really fun for me because normally I travel the whole world, and now I'm finally at home having an event. I work as a cloud advocate at Microsoft. I work on the Power Platform, so with low code. That's why I'm here, low code revolution. And my role as a cloud advocate means that I can work with the product team, but also with the community. And I really like that because I used to be an MVP, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. And in that role, I could present at events, talk to a lot of people that do the same thing, and I really like that. So I didn't have to change that when I joined Microsoft, and that's something that I really like. And a fun fact, I like doing karaoke, and
We have microphones. Where's the music?
And I'm really bad at singing, so it's a good combination. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to keep calling you Rick. No, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Daniel. I'm sorry. No. I'm joking.
You have been rickrolled.
Rickrolled.
Yeah.
Apologies, Daniel. So, Louisa, small introduction about yourself, please.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Louisa. I'm a Power Platform and M365 consultant based in Germany. So it was not really far away, so even that it's not my home game, but it was just close enough to also be here. I'm an MVP in two categories. So I do M365 development and business applications, which means I combine code and low code in my projects. Fun fact about me, it's not only that I love the number 42, it's my very favorite one, but also not so fun, I quit drinking coffee. I'm a developer, I quit drinking coffee. Is there just like a cry support group for that? And I'm an introvert.
You?
Yes,
really?
I am. Yeah, really. So
You're always so open and outgoing every
yeah.
time I see you.
Yeah, so I'm not shy at all. I easily get in contact with other people, just like community, and I love to do that. But situations like just like being at a conference, this it takes a toll. So this is energy draining, even though I do love that. But at some point, I really need to be in my room again and just like stare at a blank wall and do nothing.
Well, speaking of, this is how many conference in the last few days? I've just seen on Twitter, Louise is here, Louise is there, flying there, flying here, and now you're here in Utrecht.
Yeah, so Louisa was touring. So
We have two shirts.
Yeah. Hashtag Louise on tour.
we have two shirts, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. So we're going to talk a bit about the low-code revolutions. First things first, what is low-code and what is a low-code platform?
Okay, low code means there is a lot of code, but you don't need to write this, in my opinion. Like serverless, there are a lot of servers, but you do not need to maintain those. Low code just means there is just like a layer of abstraction upon the code that is written by some other talented people, and you can utilize that. And that means we're democratizing, making apps, making dashboards, automating things, chatbots, you name it, just like all of that, and make that accessible to more people so that they can solve their problems without having an artificial technical barrier.
Gotcha. So is it fair to assume that a low-code platform is comparable with a CMS, a content management tool where you drag and drop components that are ready for use?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, it is, yeah. I could say that. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
think if you look at the Microsoft low-code system, that's Power Platform. We have one of the products which is Power Pages, and that's kind of a CMS kind of thing. But we also have chatbots, we have apps, we have workflows, we have a bunch of things, like different types of low-code. And that's basically what we offer.
So speaking of the Power Platform and apps, actually the first app I built was thanks to Louisa, who gave a workshop on how to build a conference app in one day in Power Apps.
Oh, nice.
So you're definitely definitely inspiration to many. I'm one of the people who actually got to experience it the first time through you, so thank you.
It's my pleasure. So I can remember that because it was the very first app that I built. And it was just like, I want to build a conference app, just like with all these features that you usually want to expect there. And I built this app, and I needed an entire day, because it was my very first app, to do that. And one thing I didn't know about Power Apps was that you need to save this to invoke the autosave. So guess what? I did not do that. So my whole progress was gone. So it was like, okay, I will build this another time. And then I only needed just like about an hour, because now I knew what I was doing. Then it was like, okay, let's make that a challenge and build this app on stage in 30 minutes. This is how this happened.
What triggered you to get into, like, to start to learn about low code, no code?
So I'm always learning, because I'm always hungry. I easily get bored. It's true. And I guess I was teaching people on how to adopt software and how to deal with that and all the changes. And at some point I was like, I'm tired of talking with people. I really want to make something. I'm a maker. I'm really big into DIY. I'm into Lego. I'm into building things. And it was just like the natural choice for me to build digital things as well. And then I just started, and I did well, I guess.
So,
Right?
so Daniel, what would you consider to be like key considerations for companies when they're considering to use a low-code platform?
I think that a lot of people, when they start with low code, they are kind of afraid for some reason. Because a lot of companies think that when they start using low code, that everybody can build apps and they can do a lot of wrong things. That's what I hear a lot from the companies. And considerations that you should be aware of is like, you can have governance over those apps. Like, it's not like before, when you had like the Excel, the Excel VBA kind of applications that you had on your local machine or on a simple file server, there was a lot of like shadow IT going on there. And what you can do with low code nowadays is, because it's in the cloud, it gets saved in the cloud. You can easily see who is building what and what they are doing, etc. And that kind of helps people to be more okay with enabling low code for the whole company. So those are kind of considerations. What you also see nowadays, at first it was, if you look at low code, there were a lot of simple things that you could build with low code. It's getting more and more mature, so there's more and more, like, more advanced stuff that you can build. And also you see now enablers like AI, for instance, that will make it even easier to build apps,
Bingo.
build flows, etc. Yeah, Copilot. No. But that will help a lot of people, because for people getting started, what did most people do when they started building apps? They start with a template or something like that. Or they start with a blank screen and they have a lot of things they need to put on there. Maybe they are a little bit afraid of what they can do with it. Nowadays, when you have AI, you can, for instance, just describe what you want to see and it will build it for you.
And poof. Do you feel it has changed the way you work? Like, it's no longer just a traditional, like, full professional developer, the IT department, like apps are being built outside of the IT department as well. Do you feel the change with like different skill sets and so on that you can actually have with the low code, no code?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest advantages of low code. And I've seen that in multiple companies, that people in the business actually start building those apps. And they know the process, how that goes. They also know how the current situation is. So they know also the pain points. And they really want to solve that problem. And sometimes it takes a little bit more time than when a developer would develop it. But they need to know, they need to learn more about the low-code application platform, for instance. But they know so much about the process that will go way easier. And of course, there's more people in the business than we have probably with the developers. Because there's kind of a shortage with developers. I don't know if you noticed, but they always have like a full backlog and they can't build everything that they have on the backlog, of course. And
Sure.
I think that's also a big change that you see with the people in the business that are building apps, building flows, building all kinds of things.
So you've mentioned quite a couple of advantages and pros of using low-code platforms. Are there any cons, like any disadvantages of using low-code
Yes.
platforms?
Oh, should I let you answer that one?
Well, so he worked for Microsoft, right? So I will just like save you now. It is not just like the platform itself, but it is just like more the perception that some customers have, oh wow, this is low code, and then they lower their standards. I don't think that this term low code is necessarily beneficial for that thing. I think that everything low is just like, it is not as good as high, you know? So the term is not just like the best one.
How would you rephrase it?
I
if
don't
you
know.
could?
I need to work on that. I will come up with something. But some companies are just like assuming, okay, and then it's easy, and then we do not need developers anymore, or we don't care about governance because it's just low code, and we don't need to put anything into source control because it's just like low code. And I'm just like, no. Everything is code. Everything belongs into source control, and we need to treat a low-code project like we treat a code project. It is just an abstraction layer, but all the other aspects of software development still apply. We just reduce a barrier of writing correct syntax. That is all that we did, and that does not. Then it's just like not sufficient to say, okay, so then just like everyone should be making apps. No, the hell. So I would not encourage that, but just like proper planning and proper governance, and of course proper guidance should be everywhere in every organization, and there need to be a team who takes care of that. So because this does not fly on its own. And we could see this in the M365 space, just like on the user level. So everyone got teams, and then there was just like a whole spread of teams, and then COVID happened, and so things got out of control. And now all the M365 consultants have projects to just like tidy up all the mess that happens during pandemic. And we see the very same thing in Power Platform as well. Just like a lot of projects are just like, oh, we have a whole mess here because everyone was doing something, but we did not have a clear vision or a common path where we could just like all walk on together. So someone got to tidy up that mess that we made.
And I think also there's like a different types of apps, of course. You have like
Totally.
a personal productivity when you want to build a simple app that helps you with your own work. But you can also have an app that will be really relevant to your whole team. And that's a little bit larger, of course. And then we also have like the really like the business critical kind of apps that are for the whole company maybe. And those really need quality control and that kind of thing. I think that it's kind of a maturity like line which goes up. So whenever you are doing personal productivity, the maturity doesn't have to be really high. But when you are reaching that business critical app, then you really need to be more aware of planning, etc. That kind of thing, what you just said. Yeah.
Totally. Agreed.
And as you mentioned, so we're not having enough developers. Developers, we need you. Hey, or not with low code, though. But do you think, I mean, speaking of the revolution, do you think low code is the future of application development?
Yeah, so I think that it's not a question of low code or pro code. I think that we should totally combine it. I think that we should work together because developers have a certain skill set that can still help a lot of people in the low code space as well. Like they know a bunch of things about best practices on how to develop stuff. And that's something that low code developers should learn as well. So those kinds of things are really important. But I think that low code will be bigger, a lot bigger than it is now, because more and more people will learn how to make those apps, how to make all those different things. But I think it's not going to be a decision, if it's going to be either low code or pro code. I think that both have a valid reason to be there. And I won't be somebody who says, "Oh, well, we always need to use low code because it's the right tool for the job whenever." Yeah, that kind of thing.
Clearly, this is a better together story.
Yeah.
Very,
Always
very
better
clearly.
together. Well,
Always better together, because you do not want to have just like companies decide should they just like only and exclusively use the low-code train. No, it's just like use whatever does the job, and sometimes I can just like blow a developer's mind with just like how easy it is to just like spin up a UI where they would just like take ages to develop that, or where we can just like reach that stage where it can show something to a user, and that is just like amazing. And on the other hand, as a developer, I need to blow some makers' minds with just like, hey, let's maybe have a decent DevOps process.
Yeah.
And let's maybe apply some best practices here as well. So this is always just like a better together story.
And what I really love as well is, and I do a lot of sessions about custom connectors, which is a extensibility part of the Power Platform, which enables you to build a connector, and the connector is basically a connection to an API. So whenever pro devs, for instance, build an API and they want to make that available for other people inside of low code, they can build a custom connector. And I always tell people that it's really cool as a developer, when you have built something, an API, that you can give it to other people who do awesome stuff with it. And I think that's one of the biggest, like, big things about low code, that you can offer it to all kinds of business users that will build apps upon your API. And then you have much more people that use it. And isn't that what we all want? Like, when we create something, we want others to enjoy that, and it gives us a kind of sense of pride, etc.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
I love that kind of thing.
Totally agreed. So I do not only want to build apps, I want to build tools that make it easier for others to build even more cool apps. And Perpetual really makes it easy. And yes, it is custom connectors, it is custom functions, it is component libraries, it is plugins, just like everything that you could potentially develop. I open source everything, then everyone uses that.
Haven't you built a component library?
I did.
I think so, right?
Yeah, I did.
So speaking of, if somebody would like to learn and would like to start, like, where would you direct them? Like, where? I mean, of course, follow one of your workshops, but
So following just like Daniel and me would be a good idea, because we put out a lot of good stuff. Learn.microsoft.com is a good start as well if you want to start your learning journey there. But yeah, just like go to community events, connect with people, connect on socials, and just like be open-minded.
Yeah, one of the biggest tips I always give people is, for instance, we have workshops called App in a Day, Flow in a Day, that kind of thing. And I see so many people that build their first app or first flow or first chatbot through those workshops. It's just one day, and you learn a lot of things during that day. And it's kind of, you have a manual where you go through. And a lot of people, when they first start with low code, that's a huge help, because they just experience how it is. And it's following a manual, so it's not really, sometimes it doesn't really stick. That's kind of a thing. But it really helps people to see what's possible.
Yeah,
and that's
it does. I can
Al-
I actually did also that workshop,
Yeah.
built app in a day, and indeed it's a manual. You can follow the steps step by step. You're like, where did I miss one? And you look
But
back,
just
but
find
it's
a-
accessible. Let's say
Find a
that way.
pet project and build something. Just like build real stuff. Do not just like follow tutorials, but whatever you have in mind, just like build things. Code, low code, I don't care, but just like build things, always.
But do you also think that low-code platforms can also effectively cater to the needs of enterprise-level applications? So is it like, it seems like, so you spoke a lot about, you could try this, you could do this with the low-code, there's a lot of advantages to it. Is it all, do you think it's also possible to use low-code platform for like the enterprise, like the usage of big, massive corporations even? Or is that not effective?
Well, so I'm a consultant, so it depends.
Of course, yes.
So of course it depends on the use case. So there will be people who will say it is not fully enterprise grade ready. I might have opinions on that, but I would say we're getting there. At least that.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
What do you consider to be one of the biggest challenges or limitations in order to get there?
Companies need to learn that they really need to invest in the platform instead of saying, oh, we need to have one app and then we just like calculate if this baby will fly and only then we will be doing that. Because, so if I compare this to Microsoft 365, we all get this Office license, right? Everyone in the company gets that. And no one questions if you are using Excel or if you're primarily working with PowerPoint and Word. But still, you also get the Excel license because they package that. But we do not question that for every single user anymore. And I'm just like, hey, this is just like, maybe this is a nice parallel to just like think more about Power Platform as a platform to invest in and say, okay, I would just like enable the entire company to solve more problems and to gain more money and just like to have this hands-on mentality of just like fixing things instead of just like, oh my God, maybe here's something wrong. Now I need to just like write something in an awkward process and then just like get an approval 8 months later and then just like, until then I have no patience anymore, but just like fixing stuff just like on the go and on the fly. And that would be just like investing in the platform. And companies need to realize that it's that and that they are not buying one app or two apps or the capability to build one or two apps. And then the licensing makes sense as well. I said licensing. I promised him to not say licensing.
Yeah, no licensing questions.
No.
All right, yeah. So what about licensing? We were talking yesterday, but no, we will skip that part.
It depends. The answer is it depends.
It depends, always. Well, we are coming to an end of this panel. We have to be right on time because, Louisa, you're going to be on the big stage again because you're also going to present a session today.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for being here. It was great to have you on the sofa. And for those on the live stream, stay tuned because we have more panels coming up. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for having
having us.
me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.